regular meeting being held at the Roosevelt Administrative Offices, 6:30 p.m. on May 9th, 2016. Jeff, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Blowers?
Here.
Mr. Carr?
Here.
Ms. Nickum?
Here.
Mr. Weber?
Here.
Mr. Blount?
Here.
Thank you.
And Mr. Carr will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we're going to start tonight with some recognitions of some people that have made some very major contributions to the district here lately, and I'll let Doug handle that.
Okay, well, welcome, everybody. We're going to recognize from the Ohio School Board Association tonight several businesses who continually help us out, help us serve our kids and give us a better opportunity from a facility standpoint or a curriculum standpoint, those type of things. And so we asked some of those businesses to come in. I'm going to read a statement from Ohio School Board Association for what this recognition is for, and then we will call those people up front. Congratulations for being named the 2016 Ohio School Board Association Business Honorable. With this certificate of recognition, the Ohio School Board Association offers its sincere thanks to the area businesses for strong support of Newark City schools. The Board of Education, students, staff, and community also extend their appreciation. School business partnerships greatly benefit all involved. Local businesses play a crucial role in supporting their community and schools. The support is especially important as school districts struggle with limited resources, budget uncertainties, and a difficult economic climate. And so at this time, I would like Mr. DeLauder, Dan DeLauder from Park National Bank to come forward. So I'm going to step out and do that. And Dan, this recognition is in support not only of the Whitefield project, but everything else that you and Park National Bank does for not just the community but the schools. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Second, we have from State Farm, our own board member and a good neighbor, Bev Nickum. Dan, I apologize. I don't think you have State Farm's certificate. Or Park National. Yeah.
I have parks.
Oh, we have another one for Park. We get two.
Whitefield project.
Oh, for the Whitefield. Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'll be back next month.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll try.
Also receiving two certificates tonight from First Federal Savings and Loan for their support of Whitefield Turf Project and the Newark City Schools and the community is Paul Thompson. Thank you, Paul.
I would just like to thank this board too. I happen to serve on the board of the college, and I just want to take a minute to thank this board for all of its support over the years. I'm privileged to work on that and serve on that board, and just to see the impact that what your support has on those kids is absolutely phenomenal. So thank you for everything you do. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And from the Works, Marcia Downs. Appreciate all the support the Works gives our students, and Marcia has been, and her staff, they step up, not only when we ask them for assistance, they lead some of our assistance and steer us in good direction. So thank you, Marcia. least, we have from State Security, Brian Sherman for the Whitefield project. And I would mention too that State Security and Brian, along with Dan, took a lead on this project, and I hear to all of you, I hear a lot of compliments about Whitefield turf and how nice it looks from not only 79, but when you're going through. And so thank you, Brian, for all of
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I would also add that, and they could not be here today because Mark Doty is at a baseball game as our athletic trainer, but Ohio Health Sports Medicine is also being recognized for their support of Whitefield turf. So we do appreciate all the support that each of you give our students in our city. So thanks again. Let's give them another hand. All of them.
And I don't think people in Newark realize it, but if you talk to like members of boards in other districts and things, they're somewhat jealous of the support we get out of our community. Absolutely. We do get amazing support. And a lot of what we're able to do for our students is because of people like this. Okay, next we'll get into report on the Growing Early Learners presentation. Doug, you want to?
Sure. Okay. We have two wonderful staff members here tonight to present the Early Learners Program. I'm going to let Maura introduce the staff and talk just for a second about this program, but this is the old early reading initiative and learning there that these guys have taken over. So.
Thank you. I am going to turn it over pretty shortly to these folks behind me, but we had a change in chairmanship for this committee, and when that happened, I did not have to think very long about some people who would step up to the plate, and those individuals are Laura Sluss and Jen Stokes. And once I said, hey, would you guys be interested? They said absolutely. What they've done is basically reshaped, reimaged the same type of program, just have given it a new name and started some come up with different ways that they can reach out to the community and try to get more parents and children involved in what's going on. And so I do want to thank them publicly for the fact that they have taken this on, they've created it, and it's nice to know that you have individuals who you can say, hey, I need your help, I need your leadership, and then hand it over, and they make it happen. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Laura and Jen.
Good evening, my name is Laura Sluss, and I am currently one of the full-time mentor teachers here for Newark City Schools.
And my name is Jen Stokes, and I am also one of the full-time mentor teachers.
This evening, we'd like to present to you a little bit about our community outreach program. This committee was formerly known as the Early Learning Initiative, and when Jen and I met this summer to kind of think about and move forward, we wanted to kind of change the name to make it a little bit more reflective of our vision. Our vision is to give families ways to grow early learners. One of the ways that we want to do this is to really encourage families to become more active in their children's education. We're targeting children ages birth to 5, really those years before they kind of enter our school system. We want to build a strong foundation and help them increase their skills when they get to school. When we took over the committee, we didn't want to kind of negate the past successes. In fact, Jen and I both served on the committee before we became co-chairs. So we wanted to kind of take what we had learned and move forward. One of the ways that we wanted to do this was to continue our community partnership. We already had a relationship with the Newark Public Library, and we wanted to continue that. We had planned activities such as the Parents Turn to Learn event, which was a great format, and we wanted to continue those events. And we wanted to give as many tools as possible to the parents so that they could bring them home with their kids and really engage them in learning right away. And finally, we wanted to focus on all of the positive feedback over the past years of the committee and continue the things that the parents really loved.
So when we sat down with Maura before we got anything underway, she says, come up with some goals. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want this to go? So these are some of the goals that we kind of came up with together. And we said that we wanted to continue and have 3 Parents Turn to Learn events. And these are events where we invite parents in and demonstrate for them ways that they can work with their children at home, give them resources, teach them how they could read to their children, and give them some of those skills before they come to kindergarten. We set a goal of getting 10 outreach events, and we've been successful with that. We have done community dinners at the Lookup Center in local churches, and we have also set up tables at parent-teacher conferences at a few of the local elementary schools. We wanted to go with 5 agency partnerships, and we've been successful with that as well. We have partnered with the Newark Public Library, who allows us to have their meetings in their lower level children's area, and they're also very good about helping us set up the room, and they usually have a representative there to give the parents information about the library and some of the resources that are available to them through there. The Pathways of Licking County, they have a representative that attends our committee meetings each month. The Lookup Center, and then we've gotten into partnerships with 2 local churches. We also wanted to find a way to reach more families. We're a rather large district, as you know, and so we're trying to reach as many families as possible, to reach as many children as possible before they come to kindergarten. So far this year, we've reached over 100 families through our outreach events and Parents Turn to Learn events, so we're kind of proud of that. We've provided participation incentives for those families that do come to the Parents Turn to Learn events. We've given out Amazon gift cards as a drawing, and tomorrow at our final event at Carson Elementary, we're planning on raffling off a Kindle Fire to the parents and families that come. We wanted to be visible at community events, which is why we wanted to form those community outreach partnerships and go to the dinners where a lot of community members would be. We wanted to establish a purpose in the community so that people would know who we are, what we do, what we mean, where we're coming from, and what we're talking about when we introduce ourselves to them. And then finally, we wanted to increase staff participation in the committee part of it, and we're very excited that we have a wonderful committee with representatives from every elementary school attending most of our meetings. So we've got a rather large committee, and everybody works very well as a team, and everybody helps plan, so everybody's got a hand in this. So we set out and we're thinking about how we would go about this, and we decided to go with 3 schools with the highest poverty rate for the 2015-16 school year, so that we could kind of start small, get our feet wet, figure out how this is going to work. So we looked at the data, and we chose Ben Franklin, Carson, and McGuffey Elementaries to have flyers passed out, to have Parents Turn to Learn events perhaps at one of those school buildings, just to target those specific families for this year. With our hope being, our final goal being to include all of the buildings in the future and have our hands in the buildings and all of them realize who we are and what we do and kind of use us as a resource.
At our Parents Turn to Learn events, we really are taking advantage of all of the wonderful teachers that we have in the district. All of our events are led by our staff members, and we really want to give strategies and resources that parents can, again, go home and do right away with their children. I brought a few of the resources that we have given away at our events. Our first event was held in October, and our focus was on just building ABCs and getting kids familiar with ABCs are in your name and they're in text. So all of the kids received Kipper's A to Z, a read aloud. They also completed, if you see there, an alphabet letter sort. All the kids got to take home all of the materials afterwards. At our second event, which we just had in March, we focused a little bit more on the writing aspect. All the families still got books to read at home, but we also gave dry erase boards, markers, and we supplied the parents with what's called the verbal path, so that parents could actually help their kids learn the way to correctly form letters. The same verbal path that's used in kindergarten. So we really wanted to start that connection early. And finally, tomorrow is actually our final event. We're going to hold it at Carson Elementary. The goal of that was really to see if we change locations, will we get different people from the community, from being downtown to kind of moving out to Carson. Tomorrow our focus is actually going to be a little more centered on math. So all of the kids are going to get a number puzzle. We're going to go outside, as long as it doesn't rain, to practice writing numbers with sidewalk chalk. And then they're all going to receive a book that really focuses on sequencing, putting things in order. So the students will get this book, and then they will actually create the old lady and sequence all the events from the book and put them in order. There are a few more photographs here I'd like to show you. This one is of our team member Lenore Humble, and she actually has a big book, and the kids are right up there kind of learning how to point and read at the words as they go along. These are two of our teachers from Cherry Valley. All of our families that came to this event received an alphabet poster that they could take home, and they kind of modeled to parents the different activities that they could do. Here's Lenore again doing an interactive read aloud. And then this was an activity where students wrote their names and then cut them up and practiced putting them in order. So focus not only on letter recognition, but on building that name fluency.
And for our outreach events, we had representatives go to the Lookup Center, 2 local churches, and then the parent-teacher conferences for the 3 targeted elementary schools. And we set up tables similar to the one in the photograph, kind of just a poster to introduce ourselves and let them know our purpose. But then we also gave away books to each family. We gave away a kindergarten readiness checklist that they could take with them that is district approved. This is what the kindergarten teachers use. And different information, different resources that they could take right then without having to come to one of our Parents Turn to Learn events. But we also gave them flyers as they stopped at these events too, to let them know when our Parents Turn to Learn events were, so that we could get as much people there as we could.
Jen and I really want to continue to move forward with this committee. Now that tomorrow will be our final event, we want to take that time to actually reflect. What were the things that went well? What do we need to kind of fine tune? One of the ways we want to do this is to actually survey our team members, kind of get their reflection so that we can kind of make the changes for the next school year. We also want to try to hold more events actually at the schools. Today, well actually tomorrow, all of the children from kindergarten to 2nd grade are going to go home with a sticker on their shirt as a reminder of the event at Carson, and we hope to continue that success at the other elementaries. And we also want to increase our advertisement. And one of the ways that we've thought to do that is actually partnering with some of the local preschools to get kind of our name out into the community a little bit more. That's it, thank you.
Ladies, thank you not only for the presentation, but for your efforts on behalf of the children. As someone who was in the child care business for about 20 years, I understand the importance of this age level and some of these activities and what they can do to get the kids headed in the right track. So thank you very much. With that, we'll move to communications from the floor. If anyone would like to speak, feel free to step to the podium, give your name, your address. You'll have 5 minutes to speak. Jeff's got a timer there. And I typically like to remind people before we start that this is not a point at which the board gets into a back and forth, that we'll take your comments into advisement. And if need be, we will get back at a later time. So if anyone would like to speak, feel free to step forward.
Hello, and thanks for the opportunity. My name is John Hall. I live at 64 Stonington Circle here in Newark. I'm a 1968 Newark High graduate. I also worked for the school board at WGSF. I was a volunteer Newark High School student for the old WGSF TV station from 1966 to 68. I joined the paid staff in 1968 and worked until 75 as producer director, later program director, and I worked with Leland Hubble WJSF station manager for many years. I'm here tonight to ask the board to reconsider the apparent decision to not retain Gregory Ardrey as head of the Wildcat News Network. A gentleman, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. I've never met him, never talked to him. But I am so impressed, being a former broadcast, radio, television person, with the work that he seems to be apparently doing with the students. As I mentioned, I worked at WJSF, and it was an over-the-air broadcast public TV station, unique in that it was operated by all student volunteers and adult volunteers with only 4 to 5 paid staff members. We did tons of local programming back then. And when the school board opted to close the station in 1975, I had been working and continued to work at WNKO Radio, and then worked for 30 years at the various cable companies that served the Newark area until I retired about 10 years ago. And during the 30 years at cable company, I also continued serving as a liaison between the school's cable channel representative and the cable company. After Leland Hubble retired, I recall working with 4 to 5 different individuals that were in charge of Channel 19. And it seems like every time there was any kind of a change in the directorship of the program, or the movement when it moved downtown for a while and then back to the high school, the program always seemed to be seriously affected, taking a while for the students to commit again to the program and build it up again. And I am so impressed with the work that the students seem to be doing up there. It's some of the best I've ever seen. And I hate to see this happen again. Mr. Ardrey and the students are just doing some phenomenal work. And I, as a former student and employee, I'm just really proud of what they're doing. And I suggest that any of you, if you haven't seen any of it, to take a few minutes and look at some of their program samples and PSAs on YouTube. Some of this stuff is really incredible. These students are getting an excellent opportunity to learn the craft of television and radio production. And every time, the thing that's always concerned me is that every time this program seems to hit a stride, something stops it dead in its track. And the students get such great benefits from the program. I had nearly 40 years of a career because of the Newark school system, WGSF, Channel 19, which is now the Wildcat News Network. Others in the community, Tim Bubb, Licking County Commissioner, worked at WCLT. He was a member of our group. Luann Stoya, who's currently working at Channel 6 in Columbus, was one of our group. Others, Dan Black, a Newark High graduate, worked at WBNS. The late Scott Elliott worked at WCET in Cincinnati. Late Bill Clifford worked at WCLT, and there's a number of others that have gone on to various degrees of broadcasting and radio. And I think they're doing such a phenomenal job. And with Newark schools trying to rebuild the football program, and what the great job you're doing at Whitefield. And I used to go to school here at Roosevelt. It was a great pleasure to come in here and see Roosevelt again. Yeah, I'd hate to see another long-standing, important program fall backwards again.
Yeah, 1 minute to wrap up.
Okay, I'm pretty much done. That's, I just wanted to say that I really think they seem to be doing a great job, and I'd like to see it continue. So that's it. Thank you.
I will say, Joan, when I saw you sitting there, I thought, this guy looks familiar, because I'm old enough to remember when you were on the local cable
Yeah.
station. Probably most of these kids don't remember. Anyone else? Speak now, or we'll move on to treasurer's recommendations.
You have the public meeting on Jeff Petrie announcement?
Yep, that's right. Thank you for keeping me in order. Next, we'll have the public meeting on the issue of the employment of Jeff Petrie by the Newark City School District Board of Education. Members of the public are invited to provide input to the board on the issue of Jeff Petrie's reemployment in the district following his retirement. Speakers are limited to 5 minutes each, and all public comment will be closed after 30 minutes. A sign-up sheet will be used if necessary to determine the order in which persons will address the board. So if anyone would like to address the board concerning the reemployment of Chief Jeff Petrie, please step to the podium and do so. Okay, hearing none. Now we move on to Jeff's report.
Item 2A, it is recommended the minutes of the following board meeting be approved as shown in the appendix, regular meeting April 11th, 2016. Item 2B is approval of April 2016 financial reports. We had interest earned of $15,847.96. Item 2C is approval of the 2016 permanent supplemental appropriation resolution for other grants. It was increased $1,650. Item 2D is acceptance of donation on the behalf of Calder College. Eli Lilly sent in $500 match for the Stephen South donation. Stephen donated $500, Eli Lilly matches that with another $500. Item 2E is the authorization to disperse those same funds to Calder College from Eli Lilly to Calder College for $500. Item 2F is the approval of the 5-year forecast, which I had sent to the review with the Finance Committee earlier, and that is all I have at this time.
Do we have a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Okay, Jeffrey, call a roll, please.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Weber? Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've been asked to have an executive session, so I would, at this point, accept a motion for executive session for the purpose of discussing, and I don't have my script here on this, the hiring, the firing, the promotion, demotion, compensation, or discipline of employee or employees.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Jeff, call the roll, please.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes. And we will try to keep this as brief as possible, and we will be conducting business when we return. Session at 7:25. Thank you for your patience. And with that, we will move to superintendent's recommendations.
Okay, under personnel, I will add the addendums on to the list here. First person I'd like to mention under retirements and resignations. One retirement, Julie McNulty, who started in 1985 as a substitute nurse, and in 1990 became the nurse, and currently at Cherry Valley Elementary. We really appreciate Julie's work in the district. We've relied on Julie several times for advice, medical advice of students, and she's done a fantastic job. We wish Julie well. Also, Sue Church, a library aide at Cherry Valley. Sue was hired in 1985 in the district, so thank you, Sue, for everything you've done. Linda Holmberg, an orthopedic aide, which is classroom aide. In 2002 she was hired. And then the addendums on here are a resignation from Katie Wells, and also from Nick Myers is going to be unemployed for just a couple seconds here. Maybe, yeah, maybe. Nick Myers at Liberty. Nick's been a dean at Liberty the last 3 years and done a fantastic job. We also have appointments and assignments, so we've met a few of those gals with us tonight. So we have Lindsay Brewer. Is Lindsay still here? Oh, she's back there. Welcome, Lindsay. She's back there with Mr. Bowman. Has a great background and educated at Oberlin, and also a wonderful volleyball player. And so welcome aboard. Tim McVeigh, who will be at Heritage Middle School. Nick Myers, elementary principal at Hillview, and Nick, we're really excited about having you in that position. When I came here, Nick was teaching music at Liberty, doing a wonderful job. From there, he went to the mentor program, from the mentor program to dean of students to now a principal at Hillview. And it's been fun to watch Nick take advantage of leadership opportunities. And so we're excited to have Nick take that position. Also Tamara Brown, exempt secretary, who's helped Barbara. So we have another young lady, Olivia Sprague, with us tonight from Waterford, Ohio, down the Muskingum River, down above Marietta, who will be teaching preschool at Hillview. And I noticed you got a seat at Nick's table.
Yes.
All right,
We're talking about list making together.
Yes. Well, welcome aboard, Olivia. We're happy to have you. And Haley Ashimi, intervention specialist at Newark High School, who's not here. Supplemental contracts, Ray Kress, our energy education manager. Raymond does a good job for us, make sure all lights are off when they're supposed to, and sends out wonderful reminders. Item 4, salary and position announcements. Laura Slush is on here. Laura, I want to compliment you and also Jim Stokes, who's sitting with you tonight, for your work in our mentor program. And your presentation tonight is above expectations for a mentor program. You just took over that program this year, and I think Jody Walshak, who kind of started that program, and you guys have taken that. Nick's been highly involved in that, so thank you for what you do. Substitutes, certified both and classified. Under other, substitute teachers over 60 days, as I've mentioned before, they need to be not re-employed for next school year, and that's not because of job performance. I continually say that. It's just because of state law. And that is Julie Bush, Deanna Richards, Jennifer Wilkes, and also add Barb Stockdale to that list. A termination of a classified employee is on the list, and also the non-renewal of a certified employee is added to that list. And then also under item C, adoption of resolution to issue contracts for certified staff members, which are in your appendix. So that's items 1 through 7C.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion, questions? Call the roll, Jeff.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Thank you.
Under students and curriculum, special education contracts, which we do every month for our students that we are responsible for in other school districts. Approval of agreements with Licking Rehabilitation Services, agreement with Ridgeway Academy for special needs. Under other, approval of graduation lists, and I know Mr. Bowman and his group working very hard to make sure everyone who is trying last minute to get over the hump will get there. That's good to see. Approval of a foreign exchange student. We have Paul Paraschini coming in next year, who will be an 11th grader, and he's from France. So we welcome Paul. Approval to participate in the state and federally funded programs. There's also, that list is on there. Resolution authorizing membership in the Ohio High School Athletic Association, which is a yearly act by the board. Approval of school fees from pre-kindergarten through 9 through 12. And then under F, Newark High School Limited Bus Service is also on there. And that is a service that is kind of a cluster stop around the city. And so it's really nice that the board put that back in a few years ago. And again, we let the students determine where the stops are. And so they change from year to year according to where the students are. And I appreciate Mr. Keaton, the driver's willingness to work with our students and to make sure that they're basically start at the four corners of the city and come towards the high school. And so that's good to have. So.
I think that came about because Bev and I got stubborn fighting for it, and Bev and I get stubborn together. You've got a lot of stubborn.
Oh, I'm glad you got that stubborn fighting. So not much of a fight anymore, that way. So but our kids and families appreciate that. So thank you for that.
Okay, so we will accept a motion to approve 3B through, what was that? I was track of the numbering.
2 through F.
So moved.
Second. Okay, any questions, comments? Jeffrey?
Mr. Blowers?
Yes.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Do C and D together. Gifts monetary to John Clem Elementary School, Aetna Foundation, $300. Monetary of $5,000 to the linkage program for State Farm. So Bev, please share with Kim and everybody at State Farm how much we appreciate that. Is wonderful to have. And a monetary to Newark High School portfolio investments simulation workshop from State Farm of $1,650. Again, thank you, Bev, and State Farm employees. Under business, the advertising of bids to purchase 3 school buses, size and type to be determined by transportation supervisor. Again, we try to rotate 2 to 3 buses a year so we keep up with our fleet that is 56 to 60 strong. And so our mechanics have done a fantastic job of keeping these buses on the road as long as they can. And under addendum, advertise for bids, paving parking lot at White Field. Our goal is to have the parking lot paved prior to football season. And so we will advertise for bids. That was something we had thought about doing next year. The money's set aside, the soil test came back that it's good. And so instead of us putting gravel down there this year, we will pave that lot, with the exception of phase 3 of that project, which is a part for the ticket booth. There's no sense to pave that and then tear it up in a year. So that little area will be gravel. So item C and D.
Have a motion.
So. Second.
Questions, comments? I will comment that as far as the paving, by not having to gravel this year, it's saving us, what, about $20,000?
About $20,000.
So doing it now is definitely the most cost-effective way to go about it. Okay, Jeff, call the roll, please.
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mr. Flowers?
Yes.
Ms. Nickam?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, intent to adopt board policies. SALT committee back at it again.
Oh, yes.
It is recommended the Board of Education announce its intent to adopt the following policies as shown in the appendix. An announcement be made that these policies will be available to the board, staff, and public for inspection from May 10, 2016 through June 13, 2016. From the SALT committee, file 5112 entrance requirements, file 5200 attendance, file 5320 immunization, and file 9270 equivalent education outside the schools, parentheses, school. That is an intent to adopt, so we do not need an action on it at this point. So with that, we will move to board discussion and start at the end.
I always get to go first.
Yep.
Well, we just recently celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week. And I just want to take a moment to reflect about who these people are and what they do and what they continue to do to stay in the classroom. Just an awful lot of time, professional development. And we're getting ready for a nice break and to refresh the batteries. And I know a lot of teachers are going back to school over the summer. It's just, it's a good thing, and we're very fortunate to have so many great professionals who are willing to take time to do this for our kids. So I feel very confident that we have some of the best teachers around. We have one of the best professional development programs. We have probably, from what I've seen, the greatest mentoring program. Most schools don't have it at all. So we're very, very fortunate. So I wish all the teachers well over the summer. You know, take some time and for yourselves. And thank you for everything you've done for our kids. With that, I'll pass.
I'd like to say congratulations to the graduates. And if you're on the cusp of graduating and not graduating, or going from 3rd grade to 4th grade, or 7th grade to 8th grade, this would be a great time to meet with your teachers, to see what still needs to be done and what you can do, and to finish the year strong. But congratulations to everyone graduating and those moving up to the next grade.
Well, it's a wonderful time of year. We've got the 5th grade send-offs coming, which is always a cool thing, sending them to the middle schools. And of course, a fabulous graduation on the 28th of May at 10 p.m. in sunny skies. It's what we're hoping for. Although the classic rain thing needs to be remembered forever. Last year's rainstorm is one of those things that I think it just gives memories to a graduation, and so made it just a little bit sweeter. But thanks for those who gave gifts, State Farm, wonderful thing, Edna, and then for the gentlemen that were here earlier, their contributions to our schools and the community and the way they support Newark City Schools is a wonderful blessing, and we don't take it for granted. We certainly appreciate that. And lady, yes. And worship, yes. From the works, which is a wonderful place.
Yes, I had the opportunity to attend the Air Force ROTC banquet last Friday. And as an old Air Force retired guy, in the Air Force we call it getting re-blued. And so I was re-blued the other night. To think that we have 246 students in the Air Force in the ROTC program, and all their uniforms looked nice, their shoes were shined, their ties were tied, their medals were straight and not crooked. I was just a minor observation on my part. They really look good, and it gives me it gives me, faith and pride in our school and our program to go from 45 to 246 students. It is a great accomplishment. So I was really proud of them.
My turn.
Your turn.
7 years ago, when I accepted the position here at Newark, treasurers around the state congratulated me, patted me on the back, the ones I knew from southeastern Ohio, southwestern Ohio. They said, boy, you landed a good job there. When I walked into the district was depressed because y'all just went through a bunch of cuts. Cutting of staff, cutting programs, cut it to the bone, as far as I'm concerned. Tickled to death to be here 7 years later. It's not the same district. It's not the same attitude. And attitude's everything. I walked into the district saying, what in the world's wrong with you people? I've just been congratulated getting one of the top 50 districts in the whole frickin' state, and you guys are depressing me. That's not the case today. It thrills me to death to come to work every day. It thrills me to death to say I'm Newark City Schools treasurer. Thank you for allowing me to serve.
Okay. I just want to share, if you walk around Roosevelt, one of the neat things we were able to do during our building and renovation projects is we uncovered some really neat pictures and some neat things. We're going to display at the high school a couple of cornerstones we found. What is that, 1885, Tom?
I believe so.
Yeah, 1885. That was buried under White Field, underneath the stands, and it also said high school. That we did a little research we think came from one of the original schools here in Newark, and it had been sitting under there probably since the mid-30s. And so we're going to display those at the high school. But this was really neat. Someone found, Lynn Anders found a diploma from 1906 at a flea market in Gallipolis, Ohio. And so she donated this to us. And so this will be hanging on the wall in the hallway. And I really thought that was neat and wanted to thank Lynn and her family. Yeah, Barb's not here, so pick on Barb, says Barb Quackenbush. But so, I didn't say that, Barbara.
That's what she gets for not being here.
Yeah, what she gets for not being here. But thank you to Lynn Anders and family for donating that this diploma, because it will be hanging in the hallway out here at Roosevelt. I thought that was really neat. Another program I came into last week was, all of us are very proud of Jerry Mock and what she accomplished as the first woman to fly solo around the world. And so last week, Mr. Bowman and staff brought a program in. Jerry's sister was involved, and Tom was at the Historical Society. It was the
Licking County Planning Commission.
Licking County Planning Commission, I'm sorry, yes. And presented to our students. And there was a nice film, and there's a wonderful plaque. I know you cannot see this, but wonderful plaque, and talked about life and leadership lessons, and that to our. So it's neat to have Jerry's sister here presenting to our students, and so thank you to the Mock family. I have to put my glasses back on. At your table or at your seat and around town now is the first edition of the paw print that was done by Seth and staff here. And so this is we recognize that not everybody is on Facebook and has Twitter and those things, so we're reaching out another way to communicate to the community. And the paw print is put out at the library, county building, Park National Bank, Licking County Aging Building, and all of our buildings. And Seth is looking for a few more places to put that out. It's a 4-page informational paper on things we're doing here in the district and those type of things. I want to thank Seth for his work with that, and we will do that quarterly. So hopefully, and this is a challenge for Seth because Seth's not a 260-day employee, but we want the next one to come out in early August with beginning of school information, which means, Seth, you have to have that done before you break for the summer, because you will come back late July. So he'll be working, probably started the next edition already with beginning of school stuff, so neat stuff. As Warren mentioned, the ROTC program the other night is just the beginning. We have programs every night from here until the end of May. And if you get a chance, get out to a program. You can find those programs on our webpage under upcoming events, or contact myself or Seth if you want to see those. I know the orchestra is Thursday night at the Midland Theater. The high school choir is Friday night in our auditorium, and there's all kind of middle and elementary school programs going on from here until then to get out and see what wonderful talent we have in the district. So been a great year. We're not done yet. We've got some great things planned for next year. And so, as always, this year has flew by, but a lot of things that prove it's a great time to be a captain. So thank you.
I'd also like to, again, recognize the folks that we gave certificates to in response to their donations to the district. It felt a little strange handing them a certificate and having them thank me for that after what these folks have donated to our district. They are the ones that deserve the thanks. I'd like to thank John Hall for the interest and the time to come and address the board. His thoughts are well taken. I do want to mention the media arts program is not going away. It's just sort of changing gears here a little bit. So we look forward to some changes there next year. I'd like to welcome the new teachers. I think you all love the Newark district. And one thing, Olivia, I do want to mention is sitting there with Nick. I do remember many decades ago in my teacher class, teacher education classes, they said as an entry-level teacher, the two people that will make or break you is the building janitor and the secretary. They never mentioned the principal. So, you know who to suck up to. I'd like to welcome the exchange student. I assume our viewing audience extends all the way to France. Tim says we have millions of viewers, so I think it's always neat when we get an exchange student. Yeah, it's growing. It's growing. It's always neat when we get an exchange student in. I think it's not only a learning situation for them, but I think our own students learn a lot from them and their discussions. I'd like to congratulate our graduates, those of you, like Bev said, that are on the verge. Get busy here these last few weeks and get it over. You know, and best of wishes in the future. So with that, I would accept a motion to again move into executive session for the purposes of discussing hiring, firing, promotion, demotion, compensation, and whatever else of staff. I think I missed something there. And so we'll be moving into executive session at 7:50, and we do not anticipate conducting any further business when we're finished. So if we can have a motion.
So moved.
to executive session. Anybody else?
Second.
Warned it by the end.
Mr. Blowers?
Yes?
Mr. Carr?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickens? Mr. Weber? Mr. Blind?
Yes.
Oh,